What's up, everybody? I'm Carlos. This is Davalous. We're gonna be doing a Q&A today, so let's just hop right into it.
Yeah.
My first question is, what was your inspiration for getting into hip hop?
For getting into hip hop, well, I've always admired rap. Um, just the ability to, use all those words and put them in rap form, cadence, put them in rhythm form on a beat. Um, I would say, early inspirations were definitely like, uh, just listening to 94.5 for anybody that's from Orlando. Um, you know what that station is, but they would play all the throwbacks, like from rap to R&B and soul, and just early like Lauryn Hill, Nas, like If I Ruled the World type songs, the Fugees, like Ready or Not, like those type of songs were like probably the early rap songs that I heard. And then I would say like later in my adolescent years, I was listening to like a lot of T.I. and Young Jeezy and um, things like that. So
All right, so what was the inspiration behind your album?
the inspiration behind my album was definitely my love for writing was a big part of it, and I'd released some songs like already. Like I released my first song in 2020 called "The Times" with a group that I was with. I mean, the song is just me, but I was with like this music group. And I released like a few more songs. Like after that, like I released a 2-song project called "The Black Precedent," and then after that, I released "For the People." It's actually a 4-song project with the executive producer of my album, Marcus, and so just wanting to hear what a full body of work would sound like from me solely, and just wanting to know like what would actually come out when I'm writing and the stories that I was willing to tell, or you know, just seeing how that all shaped up to be. I was interested and intrigued on what would come out.
Nah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out Marcus, by the way.
Yep.
It's a nice
Marcus.
question.
And he actually goes by Ireland. That's his artist name. But Marcus, yeah, for sure.
All right, so how long about did it take you to put this whole thing together?
Yeah, it was definitely probably like a 7-month process, all things included, writing, recording. 99% of everything that's on these 13 songs were written and recorded. Well, 100% of it was recorded in 7 months. 99% of it was written in that same time frame. There was one song that I wrote about 4 years ago, 3.5 to 4 years ago, that I really loved, that I never actually put out, but I loved the writing on it. So I actually found some place, like a placement for some of that writing on this album.
All right, so out of all the tracks that you made, were there any that were especially hard or meaningful to create for you?
I definitely have to say thank you. It's a letter to my mother, who I love and appreciate so much. And I think that song was challenging just because, there was a lot of vulnerability that I put on this album in general, but definitely into that song. My mom is the closest person. It's like she's the person that I'm closest to. So, just there was a lot of truths that I shared. All great truths, like nothing crazy or like absurd, but I just wanted it to sound as perfect as it could be. As an artist, rapping and vocal delivery is a huge part of the process. So I just wanted that song to sound as best as it could.
So as the project progressed, how did your writing change, or like, how did you adapt to things?
I think the biggest thing that was evolving with the writing, right, was like you don't want to tell the same story twice. You want every song to be authentic. So that was heavy on my mind as I would write a new song, is, okay, let's make it sound different. Like I don't want to tell the same stories in it. So, and I also don't want to use like the same flows and things of that nature. So, just writing with the focus of having each song be as authentic as it could be, and not sounding like something that I had done previous, was probably the main thing. And then, like aside from that, just being able to like tell a story, start a story, get to the middle part of it, and then end it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I went back to my like roots of like playwriting, like back when I was in college. Like I learned how to write plays and tell stories in that way. So I kind of like incorporated that into the writings of these songs.
What was your favorite memory that you have from the whole process of recording this album?
So there's no better feeling. Well, there's so many great feelings when you're in a creative zone and creative process, but like when I would be driving to your place, like, can I say your place?
Yeah.
When I would be driving to your place to record. By the way, everybody, this is Carlos. Carlos recorded my whole album. Every song that you hear, all 13 of them, was recorded by Carlos. Much appreciated, bro.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It was a pleasure.
So, one of my favorite memories was just like being on the way to your place.
Yeah.
Knowing that I was about to record. I had been sitting on this song probably for like a week or something like that. So there was like an excitement buildup for what I had just written. And then the excitement being on the way to your house, for the process of, okay, let's build this song. Let's see what it's going to sound like. Let's like get it recorded. And then just like being in the studio, at you guys' place, like y'all are so welcoming. You opened up like your whole house to me, and so giving and sharing. So, and there were so many things that would happen throughout the process of recording, like, like arranging songs or having these like spontaneous like additions to different songs. Like I remember when we recorded Rulers of the World, and we wanted to, like I had recorded my verse, but we wanted to figure out how can we end this? Like we felt like something was missing. And so we found this voice note that I had in my phone of like Dick Gregory, who's an amazing man. So he ended up on the end of Rulers of the World, and then I think there was even a few times where like you might have jumped onto the mic and got onto a couple of songs as well. So just like those spontaneous like moments where things would happen like that would be the super memorable. And then also like driving back home, listening to what you just created it's amazing.
The final product.
It's amazing.
For sure. So out of the whole process of what we just finished, what was the most challenging for you?
I think just knowing what I wanted my voice to sound like, what I wanted to sound like on the song. In the beginning, you're happy to finally be able to record and get some, things off your chest, but then it has to sound a certain way. So just figuring out what my sound was going to be is probably the hardest or the most challenging.
So obviously you just said that one of the hardest things is picking how you approach the song and said stuff. But obviously, like, we went through a lot of different experiences with different songs we did.
Yeah.
How was your approach as far as like getting your vocals to hit the way you wanted to when you went to record?
So a big part of that is writing. And definitely learning how to take certain pauses in between words or in between lines. Like I want them to be able to repeat what I said. They might not be able to understand what I said. I probably may have said something that was like an entendre or like a word that they might not know, but I want them to be able to understand or to hear what I said precisely. So vocal projection, pronunciation, enunciation of words, that was definitely one of my biggest focuses when I would be attempting to deliver behind the mic.
I can attest to that. We did a lot of takes where we had to redo one word specifically.
Yeah.
But we made it perfect for y'all. So did you ever try to push yourself outside of where you're comfortable while we were doing recording, or maybe even when you were by yourself?
100% when we recorded Muse. You know, most of this album is rap and hip hop, but Muse is also like a rap song, but it's like a melodic, harmonic type of rap, you know?
Yeah.
So, in other words, I'm singing the rap. So singing in general is, you know, it's a different level of vulnerability, a different level of like nakedness, you know? So when I was recording that song, it was definitely the biggest step out of your comfort zone moment.
We obviously worked really closely together on this project, given that I recorded you for every song. How do you think that you progressed as an artist from the very first thing that we did to the most recent stuff that we had just finished recording?
Definitely like just knowing what my sound needs to be, knowing how to get to the point in a song, or what my point is. Like a lot of times, like initially when I first started writing, I would kind of be writing all over the place, but just being able to pick like one subject or one topic or one event or one story and kind of like make a whole song in one specific type of concept.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the greatest, like achievements, but two, just like growth experiences that I had. All right, guys, that wraps up this interview for my new album Opus. I just want to thank you guys for listening to me kind of just talk about the process that me and Carlos went through as we were recording and making this album. Be ready for the release. It's coming up shortly. Stay tuned. Extremely excited for you guys to hear it.